美国驻加拿大大使最近在接受采访时表示，美国绝不允许加拿大通过低关税进口的中国电动车开到美国，理由是汽车数据收集和传输相关的安全关切。这给即将进入加拿大市场的中国电动车厂的前景蒙上了一层阴影，因为对很多经常开车去美国的人来说，不能开到美国就是一票否决。加拿大电动车低关税和补贴的最大受益者可能还是特斯拉。从中国进口的 Model Y 廉价版加上5000补贴后，价格低于4.5万加元，现在已经卖疯了，要好几个月才能提车。下面是采访美国大使的视频。
Something that had never been done, allowing 49,000 Chinese-made vehicles into the Canadian market every year.
I think it goes up to 70-some thousand, but whatever, yeah.
I'd like your thoughts on that from a trade point of view, from a negotiations point of view, and from a security point of view.
I think it's those cars can come in from China, come into Canada. They're not going to cross the border into the U.S. You know, China's imports brought to you through Canada into the U.S. Chinese imports, that ain't going to happen. Okay, the Canadians are going to buy. If anybody buys those cars, it's going to be Canadians, and they'll, you guys will have to take a look at it. I'm rather a simple guy on some of this stuff. It's kind of like, okay, if you're buying 49,000 cars that are made in China, that means that you're probably not going to be buying 49,000 cars that were built in Ontario. Okay, that's a Canadian decision. 49,000 cars is not enough cars to build a factory. Again, I'm a marketing guy. I'm not an engineer, but my understanding in talking to folks in the auto industry that if you really want to build to scale a car plant, where the efficiencies and all of that, and you got to be at least at 250,000 cars. Okay, you're not going to build a factory for, maybe the Chinese will, but you're not going to build a factory to build 49,000 cars. But those are decisions that Canada has to make. You had other factors in play, like exports of canola that played into this and other tariffs. So that but we're not going to get involved in that. But we know that we're not going to open we're not going to open the floodgates to have Chinese cars coming into the U.S. from Canada. That ain't going to happen. And so, security standpoint, with the technology that they now have built into cars, and I think some insurance companies or some states are looking at, when you go out and buy your license plates, it's going to be dependent on how many miles you drive per year. And that number is not going to be, derived from a form that you fill out that says, oh, I drove 11,500 miles last year. It'll come from some data that they're getting that has tracked your car for the last year. And they said, yeah, you said you drove 11,500. We're tracking it. You drove 13,321 miles, and here's exactly where you went. And so, I would expect coming out of the intelligence world that car driving around from China, it's a great gobbler of data and information. And it's consuming and getting information, and at times it will be sending information.